Welcome back to Fantasy Football Today on CBS Sports HQ. We are powered by Dodge. We are talking waiver wires. We're on the quarterbacks. These are the two key QBs on a bye. That's Jameis Winston and Mitchell Trubisky, who gets to enjoy a week off after 6 touchdowns. Injuries of note, none. So let's go right to the drops. Ryan Fitzpatrick at 90% owned. Ryan Tannehill, 57%. Eli Manning, 52%. Are you guys surprised at how quickly things ended here for Ryan Fitzpatrick, Dave?
A little bit. Against Chicago, he just really had a bad first half, and the Bucs coaching staff said, forget this, we're not going to win this game, let's go right to Jameis, and then they immediately installed him as the starter. Jamie was predicting that all along. I was a little surprised to see it happen as fast as it did.
When Jameis Winston gets back and plays and it's his first game, do you expect, is he just automatic start, or do you think we kind of wait a couple weeks and see what happens with Winston?
He's playing Atlanta. Ding, ding. Yeah, a lot of points going to be had in that game for Winston, and certainly the hope would be is he steps in during the time off, gets his practice reps in, feels comfortable in Todd Monken's offense, remembers that Deshaun Jackson's on his team, keeps Chris Godwin playing on a high level, gets the targets up to Mike Evans, and as we just talked about, leans on Cameron Brate.
Does it help the backfield at all with Jameis Winston?
Can't hurt. I mean, it's been awful for this running game so far. So Peyton Barber has not gotten the job done. You see they got Ronald Jones involved. The thought from some people is they wanted to get Ronald Jones going when Jameis comes back, to have both those guys playing at the right time, and Jones still learning the offense. So I like that they got his feet wet going into the bye week.
All right, let's take a look at the ads list for the quarterbacks. Blake Bortles there, 48% ownership. Jameis Winston, 34%. Joe Flacco, 30%. Marcus Mariota, you can see the rest of the names there on your screen. Let's do some trust rankings, guys. Joe Flacco, Derek Carr, Mitchell Trubisky. Who are we trusting most, Dave?
I'm going to go Flacco. I think that the offensive identity of the Ravens is squarely on Flacco in the passing game, because Alex Collins isn't getting the job done. He's fumbling it away, and Buck Allen isn't going to be a foundation back anytime soon. So by default, Joe Flacco is going to have to keep on throwing, and he's gotten off to a red-hot start. I think it continues. With the Ravens defense playing what it is and the run game just not being what I thought it would be, Flacco's going to have to throw, and I think he does very well with it.
Jamie, what do you think? Flacco, Carr, or Trubisky?
Flacco.
Okay.
I mean, you see now 3 or 4 games with more than 20 fantasy points, so there's a pretty decent floor there. He finally has weapons he can trust. The last few years has been up and down with Mike Wallace being their best receiver. John Brown has really stepped up. That he's healthy. I think the best is still to come of Michael Crabtree. They're going to get Hayden Hurst back, so it's a receiving core that's playing pretty well right now. But kudos to him. He's really taking advantage of the situation. Very similar to what happened last year with Alex Smith. Guy gets drafted behind you.
Right.
Your job is on the line, and he did everything in the offseason to have a good season, and it's paying off right now through 4 weeks.
Lamar Jackson not seeing the field much, but still helping the offense.
He's seeing the field too much.
Yeah, right.
You think so, in those sort of gadget plays?
Get that out the field.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at some streamers for this week. DST streamers. Titans at 53% lead the list, Jimmy.
Titans have a great matchup against Buffalo. Look, Josh Allen did exactly what I thought was going to happen last week. Come off that game against the Vikings where he basically had his Super Bowl performance in his rookie year, and he vomited all over himself. And so Titans defense has played great. I would put the Panthers second. I've changed some things around, but the Broncos in a good spot against the Jets. Patriots against the weaponless luck-led Colts. Panthers get Eli coming off their bye week, and so Cardinals also in a good situation. C.J. Beathard, they almost scored in terms of Chargers, 2 defensive touchdowns in that game, so C.J. Beathard will help the Cardinals DST.
Can you pronounce the Houston Kicker's full name? They're playing Dallas.
His full name, no. It's John Fairbairn, though, if you want to go with his first name. Yep, John Fairbairn.
Oh, it's Kaimi.
Well, his name that he goes by is Kaimi, but his given birth name, I believe, is John.
There he is. Only 28%. Pick him up if you're looking for a kicker streamer. Let's talk about our waiver wire ad of the week presented by Snickers. And our ad of the week is TJ Yeldon of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Guys, if he has a great game against Kansas City, do you think he can take carries away from Leonard Fournette going forward?
I don't think he'll take carries away from Leonard Fournette when he comes back, but he could take playing time away as a third down back, passing downs back, and a guy who's just maybe a little bit more versatile. And on top of that, a guy that can keep Leonard Fournette fresh. I think Jacksonville knows by now that they don't want to ride Leonard Fournette for 60 snaps a game. They've got to dial that back to keep him healthy for the rest of the season. That's where Yeldon can come in. But until Fournette comes back, Yeldon's going to be the main guy in this backfield.
Love the matchup for him this week against Kansas City. They've been awful against opposing running backs. It's a dream situation. Must-start guy. I'll give you a little tease. He's our starter of the week this week for week number 5.
How long do you think he'll be fantasy relevant for, Jamie?
Until Leonard Fournette comes back. I mean,
When is that?
Hopefully it's
What
within
is
2 weeks.
worst case scenario and what is best case scenario?
Worst case scenario for Leonard Fournette is
Yes.
they put him on short-term IR. I don't think that's a realistic possibility, but that's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario is he gets healthy this week and he's back in week 6.
I'll give you a bad case scenario. Their bye's in week 9. What if he sits until then? And then
Week
after
10?
the bye, he comes back in
You're
week
kidding
10.
me.
Le'Veon Bell plays before Leonard Fournette. It's a bad scenario.
So what would you give up for a TJ Yeldon in a trade? What is worth it? What's right there on the edge that would really entice the Yeldon owner for a trade?
If you picked up any of these receivers along the way, Calvin Ridley, Tyler Boyd, and you just need running back help, you could flip that easily. If you're not playing those receivers, you're playing those receivers is a different conversation. But a lot of people pick those guys up and haven't been comfortable enough to start them yet.
Mike Williams, if you can get him off
Nobody's
your
doing
team
that
and you do
anymore.
that. I don't think so because he didn't have the touchdown. But maybe in a couple of weeks, Mike Williams steps up, and then you go and you get TJ Yeldon.
Joe Mixon or Fournette rest of season quick?
It's got to be from Mixon.
What do you think?
Mixon.
No-brainer Mixon. All right, that is all for fantasy football today on CBS Sports HQ. Coming up next, Chris Hassel and Dallin Cuff are joined by Pete Prisco with his NFL rankings and a whole lot more from the world of sports. That was your line. Nothing? Stick around.